the merger, right? When you start out, there's not so much of money, there's no concept of funding, raising. How do you build the team? Because the work you were taking were complex work.
It wasn't merger which was there on our head. We were just looking for measures to expand. We need a lot of clients so that if one client leaves us at any moment of time, they had to go to some bigger CFM, and that was the problem we were facing. Maybe have an office in Mumbai, maybe have an office in Bangalore. That was our thought process. You can't just sit in Delhi and do a work in Bangalore, run a CFM in Bangalore. You may have all the expertise, but you don't have the vintage. This event happened in Mumbai. We were discussing general things. We never knew CFMs came there to look for other CFMs. Was it always a part of the growth plan? Merger was not.
So today we have with us CA Gaurav Sukhija, who quit his role at Deloitte in 2017 to set up his firm PGSJ and Company. So the firm achieved a remarkable growth between 2017 to 2023, and of course a very good reputation, paving its way for a merger with Kirtane and Pandit, one of the most prominent firms in India. These guys built a team of 50 in 6 years. Actually now they are 100 post merger. So I mean that's a phenomenal growth rate for a CA firm.
I am national leader transaction advisory. I take care of M&A tax valuation and due diligence at Kirtane and Pandit LLP Chartered Accountants. We are a 30 partner, 800 employees, CA firm having offices at 7 locations, which is Pune, Mumbai, Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, Nasik, and Delhi. I basically sit at Delhi. My journey actually started in 2012 in the chartered accountancy, wherein I started with articleship in the M&A practice. Then I went to Deloitte in the M&A, mergers and acquisitions and valuations specifically. And then, I ventured into with 4 of my friends, rather 3 in 2017 and 1 joined in 2019. And we incorporated a CA firm, namely PGSJ and Company Chartered Accountants. In 2022 October, we started discussing about mergers and more that we'll talk about in this session. And in July 23, we officially said yes, signed the documents, and now we are ideally partners at Kirtane and Pandit LLP Chartered Accountants.
You qualified, I guess, in 2015. 2015, quite a young.
2015 qualified.
2015, worked for 2 years. Startup, everything is startup, but you started a CA firm. Okay, so what inspired you to move from Deloitte and start a CA firm?
Why you became a CA is the first question ideally I would like to address. Is while I came from a business family, all my partners came from a business family. We were part of conventional businesses, we were taking care of those things. And while I was working with Deloitte, every day I had an urge of being an entrepreneur. Yeah. The problem with a chartered accountant has always been that we are not tech oriented. You want to do a startup, but you don't have the tech background, so you can't just build a startup on your own. So there was an urge always available. While I was working in Deloitte, while you work in M&A, you work very deeply with startups there also. There were a lot of startups, though I would say Series A, Series B, Series C funded startups, but we were helping them in doing M&A evaluations, due diligence, and those kind of things. So me, my another partner Sanchit, another partner Prateek, they were working in KPMG, PwC. We were in the same building in different companies, and we started thinking about starting a firm with something different. From 2016 itself, we were sitting in a cafe, every Saturday. We used to sit from 12 to 6 in that cafe, or on Sunday sometime, and we used to think what to do. And we were actually, working upon that. We'll do this, we'll do that. Once we leave the CFM, we'll do this. So we always had a thought process of starting our own CFM. And it wasn't just starting a new CA firm in the market. It was a CA firm which had a niche of 2 different things. Ideally, startup kind of a thing. People who are doing startup, we wanted to be their support. So that is where our thought process came in, and we started with PGSJ and Company. We, from the very starting, we have been working with people, in diverse fields. We've helped people in IT, ITES, deep tech, crypto, blockchain. We've helped people to do a lot of things. So what inspires to start a CA firm is ideally the entrepreneurial thing which we always had. So to fulfill that, rather to start any other business, we thought that we'll do something which we know. And we started off with the CA firm. We knew, in the very first year, 2017, ideally 18, We knew our audit wasn't really well. Statutory audit, we were not doing really well because we didn't have a partner there. Then we got CH Chiragdar, who was working with Grant Thornton at KPMG at that time, left Grant Thornton, went to KPMG. And we really wanted him because he was our old friend.
There are quite a few good CA firms in India, in Delhi especially. So many, so many folks are starting, second generation are taking over, expanding. If you could just highlight what were the specific opportunities that you spotted and said, hey, you know what, you could bring in something new, and there is a big market for it.
See, while we started our CA firm, there were so many CA firms in the market. Right now, also, every day a new CA firm is coming up. There are a lot of friends who have started a CA firm. So we all did our articles from Big 20s, what we call, respectable CA firms in the countries. We did our articles from there. Then we, all four partners who are in Delhi now, we all went to Big Fours. So we had that kind of a thing available. We had this kind of thing available, that how Big 20 works, how Big Four works. Then we knew a lot of friends who were running small CA firms, general practices, and we knew what is the problem they have. While we started with our CA firm, what different we wanted to do is, ideally, is we wanted to focus on niche areas. When you start a CA firm, uh, you generally don't have much choice to choose a customer. Yeah, when you start to sustain. So we did what came to us from the very first year. From 2017, we started off with a 180 square feet office, just two employees, three of us, sitting in a small space, serving whosoever came to us. There was nothing as such. We wanted to actually serve two things. One is the rent, and second is the employee salary. We were getting paid from our payments which we had for another 5 months. I would ideally say that from September we started 2017 till Feb or March. We were ideally meeting a break even in the second month itself, and then we started working. From there, we started to focus on our niche areas always. I was working in valuation, M&A tax, and due diligence. My partners were working in international tax, internal audit, and those. We always wanted to focus on our niche. So we focused on the niche. That is the first thing. Second thing which we knew was deliverables. What is different, what has always been different from us and the general CFMs was always that our deliverables were at par with Big Fours, because we came from Big Four. We knew how they communicate. See, difference between a Big Four or a Big 20 or a general firm has always been the how they communicate. Their proposals, their deliverables, they speak on their own. When you see, Big 20s profiles or things like that, it's much different from what a general CA firm has. They don't spend on branding, they don't spend on creating a good profile. So what we focused upon is having a good profile, number one. Number second, having the right proposals. When we used to approach a lot of clients. We had a lot of friends, families, network where we used to approach for work. When they used to ask us that, Gaurav, can you do this? We said yes, we can do that. They said send us a proposal. So our proposals were in the PPTs. They were very crisp. They were to the point, had the scope, had the background and everything, and then had a professional fees. We always delivered things which was no hidden fees, no surprise fees, and always to the point. So there were a lot of people who came to us and said, Gaurav, can you please handle FP&A for my startup? So that was the key of our CFM in the very starting. FP&A, that is doing the GST, TDS, accounting, and everything for the startups. That was where we started off in the very starting. And the problem with the startups was there were a lot of CAs who were helping them already, but CAs were not telling them the fees. CAs were telling them, "हो जाएगा, doesn't matter, start करते, within
Yeah.
6 months we'll tell you." Yeah,
Yes.
that was the
Yes.
problem which was there in the industry. We bridged that gap. From the very starting, we told them this is the fees, number one. Number second, for next one financial year, we knew how startups work, how they will grow, how much will they grow. So we gave them, till the time you grow till this level, or maybe pre-revenue, or whatever the case may be, we'll be charging with this. Once this gets over, or the financial year ends, whatever is earlier, then we will communicate with you about the fees. That was the key which people loved about. They said, Gaurav, what I like about you is you are crisp. You tell what your scope is very clearly in your proposal. You tell very clearly what your fees will be on monthly basis, annual basis, quarterly basis, whatever the case may be, and then you do the thing. The third important thing which we did was hiring good talent. From day one itself, we knew if we will keep doing the work, we will never be able to do the work. Yeah. You need talent who will working with you, who's gonna work with you and do things with you. A lot of people, there were a lot of relatives of ours who were running CA firms, not mine, my partner's relatives, who used to tell us, kya yaar, 10 logon ki CA firm, you have people with 10 people now, you have people with 20 people now, you have your firm with 30 people now, and they were still at 4 people, 5 people, 6 people. And they used to say, why do you hire so much? And how do you retain? That used to be a lot of questions that I'll come next. So the
Yep.
second thing was hiring good talent. And the third important thing is having a good work. We used to urge to get good work. We wanted to deliver better things, maybe due diligence. The due diligence which we did for the very first was a very technical due diligence. We did for a stock exchange. That was the first assignment we got for a stock exchange somewhere who was getting acquired by another stock exchange, and we got that work. And that deliverable which we gave was at a very meager fees to what Big Four would have charged. If they would have been charging 100 rupees, we were just charging 25 rupees, I would ideally say, or maybe less. But that was the challenge we wanted. And so good work led to our team's motivation that they're getting good work. See, for them in CA firms, you don't get commissions of the work you do. Yeah.
Yep.
What is the motivation people have is the work they are doing, the better things they are doing. So that is where we started working. That is, focusing on niche area, being hiring good talent. And then there was another one very important thing is we have always been part of a lot of startup forums. There has been pedal start, push start, then these kind of kick start. These all kind of forums were very helpful for us in the very starting. We were active in those forums, and not active in the sense that we were sponsoring things or we were doing something like that. We were just active. you know if any startup had any problem, we used to help them. Now also I do that. If any startup had a problem or any corporate had a problem and they were approaching on that platform, I was the one who was replying them first, and I was helping them that this could be done, that could be done. And from there we got a lot of references, calls, and those kind of things. The third pillar of our firm has always been referrals. The beautiful part of this has been referrals. There was one person who was CFO at one organization. I met him through a friend. That was the first introduction I got. That guy left that organization, went to another. He introduced us there. And the employee who were working there already, where the CFO was working, who got elevated to a CFO, went to another company, referred us there. So there is one story wherein we have tier 7 reference. We mark the references at what tier level we have. So there was a tier 7 reference we had, wherein one person referred another, then another, then another, and we went to the seventh company, wherein the whole chain was created. And you understand, while this tier is created, you would have created branches of a tree wherein you've got at least 25 to 30 references. And there is no way that CA firms can grow because we don't have marketing skills. Number one, we don't have options to market. We are not allowed to do branding as such. We have very specific branding details which are there with ICI. And you always have to remain in ethics. Chartered accountancy is a very, very strict for practicing chartered accountants rather than people who are now coming up with their websites and all. So you need to be restricted in those areas, number one, and number second, expand in those areas then. So we always remained in the ethics. That's the first and foremost thing. We never did anything which was out of ethics, and because we never knew how to do it, to be honest. We were
Yep.
in big fours, we were in big 20s. People there work in all ethics, so we were always wary of the fact that if we are doing maybe compliances somewhere, we shouldn't be doing audit, so we didn't do it. If we are doing audit somewhere, we shouldn't be doing valuation, so we didn't do it. If we are doing valuation somewhere and we knew this is a major business, or an M&A at somewhere where we knew a major business, we never pitched them for an audit. So those kind of ethics were very important. So that's how we built our CA firm. Is number one, niche area, number second, good talent, number third, referrals, and number four, ideally building a strong network wherein of friends, families, and these people.
How many employees did you all have like when you all started on day one?
Can only accommodate 3 partners and 2 employees. That's it. There was no other than that. So we started off with 2 employees. We went in 1 year to a 560 square feet office, which was big for us, to be honest. We boasted about it because one of our partner got married at that time. So uh, from at 560, we were at 13 employees. Then we came to 3,600 square feet office. From 560, we came to 3,600 square feet. And then we were 30 when we came in. And the good thing about is the first employee we had is still with us. So from 180 square feet to 560 to 3,600 square feet, from two employees to 13 in the last office to 30 here when we were at one floor. We added another floor of 1,800 square feet. We went to around 55 odd employees while in 2022 starting you would end you would ideally say, and then from that Kirtane and Pandit association started, and we went to a people of around 100 now, with around 20 people sitting in Gurgaon and 80 odd people sitting in Delhi.
How did you build the team? Because the work you were taking were complex work. It was not a work which, most CAs have done in the past, right? Because many of them would be in the SME sector with no idea about crypto and blockchain and all of those concepts which they had to work on. So how was the team building process?
This was an advantage we had, which other people may not have, is our family never needed our money. So that's very important thing. You can take a risk when you know that nobody needs your money as such.
Yeah.
When you need to just earn for yourself. My family had a business, Pratik's family had a business, Sanchit's family had a business, Chirag's family had a business, everyone had a business. And they said, you do whatever you want to do. We are not bothered about it. In the first, second year, or third year, whatever we had, we reinvested into the business. Maybe, to set up an office, it takes a lot of money to set up an office. Then to set up a team, sometimes you're paying from a pocket to have a team. Sometimes you click a person. So there was a guy who's with us. Uh, he asked us for a big salary. It was big for us, maybe not that big for people as such. We wanted him, and why we wanted him is I knew that if we'll have him, one problem of general compliance and monthly compliance will be sorted. He is the right person to do it. He has been with Big Four, he has been with Big 20s, and he's asking a good salary. He's not a chartered accountant, but he's a good guy. So we thought we may not have the revenues right now to pay him, but because of him, we will have a revenue one day for sure. So let's hire him. So we hired him at that moment of time, and we are very happy that we hired him at that moment of time. So that's how the thing has been. So your next query was how the team building process, and what was ideal the strategy of building the process. One important thing with team building has been focusing on good work. First is good remuneration. Till you don't pay, they won't come.
Yep.
So even for articles, there are a lot of CA firms in the country who are paying 2,500, 5,000, 3,000 sometimes, 4,000 sometimes. Articles can't even take a place on rent and have some food. That is a problem. We were in Big Four, so we knew that we need to pay something so that at least they could have a place to stay. I'm not saying they'll save something, a place to stay, money to commute, and at least have 3 meals, respectively, at least like that. So we had that as a thought process, and because of that, we got wonderful pool out of Delhi, who wanted to come in Delhi and settle down, and were not wanting to pain their parents about it. So we got beautiful, we got very nice articles, very hardworking articles. That was, a CA firm generally has around 50% strength as articles, generally. Ideally, 40% now, because we're 100, will ideally be at 33 or 40 articles at Delhi, but not more than 33 articles ideally at Delhi. So that's how we work it. But the second thing was good remuneration to the employees. If we knew this guy will work for us, we never had a problem in giving him a raise of 25% or 30% from the last salary. There have been cases wherein the guy has asked us for something lesser, and we said, in this salary, he needs the job right now. He will leave us in 6 months. I'm pretty sure about it. So we hired him at that salary which he was asking for. Within 3 months, we increased it. So that was the first thing, good remuneration. Second is focusing on good work. In the very starting, as I said, we were doing what was coming. Yeah. So the retention of articles was difficult. The retention of good talent was difficult because till the time you don't have good work, people don't come here to earn, they come here to learn. So
Yep.
that's important. A CA firm, people join to learn, not to earn. So at least at the articles and paid assistants level, those kind of people. Others does come to earn. So there are people who come to earn, but there are good people who come to learn. Till the time you don't have good work, people wouldn't stay with you. So you need to yearn about getting good work. Don't think that you have an article, you have a low paid resource, let's outsource him at 25,000 rupees and earn that money as a good EBITDA margin. If you'll do that, you'll never get employees. We started off, we were 28 or 27, something like that. You know, uh, this was a problem to hire talent also because we were young. Hiring a talent more of your age, and then sometimes you have to talk to them in some manner. It's difficult to do that. So that was a problem when we were 27, 28. But that always made them feel free to come to us. Now, also, any employee, whether he's at a manager level or at a senior manager level or a junior or whosoever it is free to come to our room at any moment of time. It's open room policy. We never close our rooms. It's open room policy. Gates are always open. Any employee, any article can come to us at any moment of time. And then we have a Diwali party. It's huge. We have a Holi party, which is huge. So these are few things we did for ideally moving from 0 to 60, and then from 60 to 100 in Kirtane and Pandit.
So you guys recently merged with like Kirtane and Pandit. Okay, so was this always part of your plan? Okay, I've spoken to you and you said it's not. So if you could just tell others as well, like what was the plan and how did they discover you or how did you discover them? Because I think they are in Pune and you're in Delhi. So how did it all happen?
We weren't looking to merge. I told you there was one problem we were facing is that we were working with startups. Once they go to pre-series A, series A, series B, we had to take an exit. From the compliances, from the audit, from everything, we had to take an exit. Sometimes people used to change their base. People were in Delhi, they were moving to Bangalore, they were moving to Mumbai, and things like that. There were a lot of clients over there in Mumbai and Bangalore which we wanted to tap, but we were not able to. Even when PGSJ, we had around 40% clients from Bangalore and around 20% clients from Mumbai. It was just 40% from Delhi. So I would ideally say we were already serving them there, but it was difficult to serve sometimes because you don't have a presence there. If there is anything like that, they wouldn't have much confidence in doing that. So that was one problem we had. The second problem we had was another is when we went to corporates, uh, they believed in us, but they couldn't go to their board to say that we are hiring PGSJ. You know, uh, very honestly speaking, the problem was they used to say, Gaurav, you're new, number one. You have a very small team which you're working with. And, you may have all the expertise, but you don't have the vintage of that. So that was a problem we were facing a lot of time. Then eligibilities. There were no tenders. Now we are uh, I can't name the clients ideally because of the ethics. We're audited to one of the public sector undertaking now, which would not have been possible if we were PGSGen company. We didn't have eligibility to be there. Yeah. So that was the third thing we had a problem with. Eligibility problem we could never solve because, there was no option to do
Yep.
that. There was one problem which we wanted to solve is open offices in Bangalore, Mumbai, Chennai, Hyderabad. This was our thing we wanted to do, and because of that, we were looking for options to do that. So there was one event which was World Congress of Accountants. You will ideally see a proud participant, World Congress of Accountants there.
I was there.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah. So this event happened in Mumbai, wherein Kirtane and Pandit was showcasing their CFM. There were a lot of big CFMs who were showcasing themselves. You know, we never knew CFMs came there to look for other CFMs, or ideally, all CFMs weren't looking for them. Even Kirtane Pandit was not. What we met Milind Limai, who's one of our partners. We were discussing general things. We were telling him how we've expanded, like I told you, what we have done, what kind of things we are doing. So, was it always a part of the growth plan? Merger was not, definitely. we we were not knowing actually कि ये हो भी रहा है. To be honest, in the industry this is not happening quite often, Kirtane Pandit did 3 mergers very recently. That is not happening in the industry as such. uh, at that moment of time, few years back, Mr. Modi also came in, our honorable prime minister. uh, he said, that we need to create Indian CA firm who is at par with Big Fours ideally. And creating that is a very difficult thing to do. You need to have that vision to do that. There, this all happened, and while we were talking through, so how did this discovery happen? Is we didn't discover. The question is to Kirtan and Pandit, how did they discover ITP? So that's another way of saying that. But while we were talking to other CA firms, there were few very important things which were there in this. I think that would ideally be your next question, that why did we choose to go for Kirtan and Pandit and why not others?
Yep. Yep.
Uh, so there were few very important things which were there. So the first thing which we went there is, this is a management run CFO. There is no owner driven CFO. So there was a lot of gap available because they were not in North India. That's an advantage we had. They were
Yep.
very small in North India, with 10-15 employees approximately, and we had a lot of opportunity to grow here in Delhi. So that was the second thing which we had as such. Third is, there were few areas where they were already working, but uh, did not have a dedicated partner to it. Ideally, transaction advisory is one. Kirtan and Pandit was working wonderfully great in that. While I was coming in, this was good for me that they made me national leader, transaction advisor. So I am national leader, startup and deals, which calls startups and transaction advisory as part of it. So any startup which comes in Kirtan and Pandit goes through me as a small discussion, and then it is allocated to the partner there. And then transaction advisory pan India has been taken care by me specifically. Now I have team available in Mumbai, Bangalore, Pune, Hyderabad, Chennai, wherein people are sitting who are talking directly to me and are actually working in the transaction advisory domain. So this is one domain which I had, which I could grow humongously. Very fast I could grow this because there were a lot of clients already available. We just had to go and talk to them and
Yep.
convert them. So this was the second thing. Uh, Ideally, they are much bigger, but they were always ethical. When we heard about Kirtan and Pandit, in the very starting, when we had no discussion or something, what we knew about them is, this CFO works ethically and does not cross a line. So for us, this was very important.
Would you still tell young CAs, okay, hey, start a CA firm? There is still opportunity in startups. What would you tell them? Or is like there's no much funding right now and it's a little slow. What do you think?
If you're starting a CA firm, please understand there are a lot of fundings happening in the market. Funding winter is in the line wherein people are raising 100 million, 200 million, 500 million. The deals which size have gone to 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, 10 million, 50 million are doing wonderfully great in the market. So you don't have to worry about how many deals are happening. I am still doing 100 valuations per year. That's huge as a number to do that. So it means that I'm taking care of at least 100 transactions in a year. So that's very important. So that is one thing. Second is, I would ideally say, if you want to be your boss, if you think that you have that entrepreneurial skill, it's not just about having technical skills in CA firm. Technical skills are much important, much more important when you're a partner, definitely. But until and unless you don't have that entrepreneurial skill, you cannot start a CA firm. So if you have that entrepreneurial skill, number one. Number second, if you have a niche area as such, and you have the courage to be in that niche area, you can ideally start a CA firm. And starting a CA firm is not difficult. To be honest, I'll tell you, even if you are doing a small work, if you're doing general CA practice, I meet so many people. As you know, I speak at various forums now, being a speaker on valuations, startups, and those places. I meet so many CA firms. I see every CA firm doing wonderfully great, at least for themselves. Definitely. You may not be able to scale to 50, 100 very easily, but running a CA firm of 10 is also not bad. You
Yep.
know, that's also huge for you to as a proprietor. But I would ideally say, if you want to start a CA firm, start a partnership CA firm. Because when you have partners, you have much more support system in place